Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here with a new project for the Paige Evans design team, and I'm going to be making 2 cards today. Now, I'm not a huge card maker. I rarely make cards, but every now and then I like to branch out and do something a little bit different. And so I'm going to share the process of these 2 cards that I made today. And for the first one, I've already done a little bit of die cutting, and I used Paige's branch cut file for this. And everything I'm using today is from the Whimsical collection. So to cut these branches, I went through the 6x6 paper pad and chose 3 different papers that kind of read as solids. They have a little bit of a pattern on them, but they kind of look more like a solid. And I chose some colors that reminded me of fall. And I'm using a white cardstock base here as my card, and I'm going to jazz up the background. I kind of look at cards as mini layouts, and I kind of do a lot of the same techniques that I do on my layouts here. And I'm using some shimmers. This is called Minor 49er here, and it's an inkling, so it's got lots of shimmer to it. And I spread some around using my brush, and then I spread some around using my little acrylic stamping block there. And I'm mixing in a bit of a brown shimmery color. It's called Treasured Hem. And I just want some splatters and some smudges of shiny gold beauty on the background of this layout. Or see, I'm already saying layout. How many times am I going to say layout today? On this card. And I just wanted the branches to kind of flow across, and I wasn't sure what the sentiment was going to be, but I wanted it to be kind of small. And so I went through the sticker sheet, I went through the chipboard stickers, I went through the 2x2 phrase, 2x2 pad there, and then, yeah, so I'm just going to work at it here. And I kind of want everything flowing from the bottom left corner kind of over to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and glue down the branches so they don't move around, because the more I move them, the less I'm going to get them like I want them. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue those down with just some little dots of glue there so I can just move the whole thing. Now I'm coming back in with some more splatters because I felt like you couldn't see a lot of what I had already done. And I didn't use any gesso or anything like that. I'm not getting too fancy for these backgrounds because I'm not going to use so much liquid, and that, you know, I don't want the card to warp. And I also wasn't planning on doing a lot of blending. I just mainly wanted some base color down there and some splatters. I added a couple of splatters from a pink color. It's called Pink Moscato, and it's this beautiful almost burgundy pink, and it matches that dark pink paper really nicely. So I thought about using this little 2x2 card. It says Darling, I Love You, and I really like the colors of it, but I wanted it to be a circle, so I punched it out. And then when I put it on the card, I felt like it just covered up too much of the background, and so I wind up not using that. But I like the phrase Darling, I Love You. And so when I went back to the sticker sheet, I remembered that I had tried this little sticker that says the same thing. And I like how that looks because I like the color, and I like that it's small and it doesn't really cover up a lot of the gold in the background. And I'm going to give it some dimension, added a little bit of adhesive foam behind it. And then I'm going to go into this paper here from Whimsical. It's paper number 3, and I've already cut into it actually. And anytime that Paige Evans has a floral paper, it's just impossible to not fussy cut it out because it always looks so pretty when you cut things out of it. And so I'm going to cut a couple things from that and kind of space it around the page. And I'm going to cut that little orange flower out and use that over to the right. And then here I come with more gold because I just felt like you couldn't see enough of it. And then I'm going to come in with the same paper, but in the 6x6 paper pad, and then fussy cut out some leaves. And the fun thing about this 6x6 paper pad is that some of the pages have gold foil on them, and this is one of them. And so these really pretty white leaves are outlined in metallic gold, and they're so pretty. So I'm going to cut some of those out and layer those in. So this is going to be a fun, heavily leafy card. And I almost didn't want to add this one in just because of the different shade of pink, but I like how it looked. I was going to just try to stick to the three main colors and the branches, but then the more I got to cutting and playing around, the more I liked this addition of this other pink color. And so it's going on the card. And then I'm going to add a little bit of gold metallic thread. And I always have trouble getting my metallic threads to stay in a little tangle there because they're just a totally different texture than the cotton threads. And so they want to straighten out rather than stay in a little knot there. So I have to work at those metallic ones to get them to stay. But eventually it stays, and I'm going to glue that all down and make sure it stays put. And then this is almost finished, and I thought that I was going to trim off the pieces of the branches that are hanging over the edge of the card, but I actually don't. I kind of like it. And if I was going to send this in the mail, I would just stick it in a bigger envelope so I wouldn't have to cut those off, because usually when I make a layout and I run something off the edge of the page, I always trim it up so everything's a nice 12 by 12 and there's nothing extra on it hanging over the side. But I really like how this looked. It kept the natural flow of it going, and it's not sticking off the edge so bad that, you know, you can't open the card or it would mess it up. But yeah, there's the final card for that one. Now I'm going to move on to my second card, and I'm going to also use another cut file from Paige Evans, and this is called Beautiful, and she actually has a couple of beautiful ones. This is just one of them, and I cut it really small so it would fit on my white card base there. And I bet you can guess what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to back this cut file, and I'm just going to go through the 6x6 Whimsical paper pad here and just play around with some of the papers and make it a nice colorful card. And so each letter is going to get backed with something different, and I'm just going to try to spread all the different colors around so you know, there's multicolors going around the layout. Oh, there I go, the layout, the card. Can you tell I never make cards? I can't even call them cards. That's two. I bet I do it again. I love all these papers. I can't wait to use that rainbow striped paper. It's one of the papers that I'm hoarding. I don't know why I still hoard. I feel like I've learned my lesson from hoarding because all these beautiful papers just sit there. But something about that rainbow striped paper, I'm not ready to cut into it yet. It's too pretty. It'll happen, but just not today. Anyway, so I got Beautiful all filled out. I love how that looks. And then I'm going to try to use up some scraps here. This is the paper that I cut the branch from. And I wanted to, I didn't want the background to be so white. So I'm going to do a little bit of layering here. And this is a white paper, but it's got a bunch of different little colored hearts on it. And I'm going to layer the dark pink paper. And I'm going to make this work even though I used it for a cut file. You won't even be able to tell here. So I'm just doing a little bit of cutting and pasting. And so now it looks like a solid piece of paper. You won't even be able to tell that I cut that branch out of it. And so this is kind of the base I'm going to work with. And I don't want it to be nice and perfectly straight, so I'm going to ruffle up the edges with my edge distressor there. And then I'm going to jazz up the background with a little bit of mixed media. Not too much, but I am going to add a little bit of white gesso here just to prep the paper, because this is just, you know, pattern paper essentially. And so it's pretty thin. It's not really equipped to handle a lot of water. And I'm not going to add a lot because, you know, it's a small card, so there's no way I need to be adding a lot of water anyway. But just to be sure, I want to make sure it's protected. Now this is from the 12 by 12 papers, and this is paper number 14. Again, another gorgeous floral that is just begging to be fussy cut out. Look at all of the colors and the leaves, and there's butterflies. I mean, if you're shy, or not shy, but if you, I know a lot of people say they hate fussy cutting. So if you are one of those people and you have this collection, you may just have to kind of have a little talk to yourself, or talk with yourself, and come to a compromise and learn to like fussy cutting, because there's so many pretty flowers on this paper and they're really not hard to cut out. It just takes patience and a little bit of time. So I cut some of those out, and I'm going to scatter those around the edges of that card. So here I come with some more shimmers. I'm going to use a light blue color. I believe that one's called Ride the Tide, and I'm just going to start to smudge some on with my brush. And you know, you can kind of tell how the design's going to go, so a lot of this is going to be covered up, but you're going to be able to see it, you know, at the top and the bottom and kind of in between all the letters and around the flowers. This is a darker blue. It's called Oaky Bear Blue, and it's just a little bit of a darker tone, and it's going to blend with a lighter blue and just give a little bit of shading and variation on the color. And see what I did there? I felt like it was too dark, so I just dabbed it up with my napkin. Gesso is what allows that to happen, because if you don't use gesso, it's going to soak right through the paper, and you're not going to be able to dab it up if you decide you want to change your mind. And so that's why I tend to use gesso. Another reason I use gesso. This is a purple color called Wisteria Lane, and I do have some purple going on in one of the flowers and in some of the letters there. And you know, you can't really mess this up. The canvas I'm working with here is really, really small, or the size of it. It's very small, and so if you want to do something like this on a card, I say try it out, because there's not a lot of space and you're not going to mess it up. I did a little bit of stitching around the edge there with, what color is that? Is it silver or gold? It's gold. Hello, it's gold, because I'm pulling out the Heidi Swap color shine here. Yeah. I just used silver on another layout, and so that's why I couldn't remember right off the top of my head if I used silver or gold. Now I'm going to raise up this entire thing, so I'm just going to slice up a little bit of adhesive foam to give it some dimension. And I love how that's looking. You can kind of see how the background looks like a hot mess, but once you put the beautiful and the flowers on top of it, it totally changes the look of it. I love these flowers. I cannot say enough about Paige Evans flowers. They are always gorgeous. Can't go wrong. I'm going to go ahead and glue all those down around the edge, or the edges. Most of the edges. That one's going to go behind the A for another pop of yellow. And I kind of turned it a couple times. I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to have it. It looked good either way, but I'm going to use this direction here. And I'm going to come back in with a gold thread again and just put that so you can see it peeking through some of the letters. And this is almost finished. I really enjoyed doing these. Like I said before, I don't really make a lot of cards, but this was fun to do. And you really cannot create anything that's not beautiful with this Whimsical collection, because it's impossible, because it is beautiful, and it's everything is so pretty. So there are my two cards. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was something different for me. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed this process. So let me know if you have any questions about any of the products or anything that I did or anything that I forgot to say, and I'll be more than happy to answer you. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a terrific weekend, and I'll see you in my next video.